search inside the store. There's about maybe 10 books on the subject. None of them in the store. I needed something right now. So I left there, went to the next bookstore, did the search, about 10 books on the subject. And then there was one book in the store. I found it, I bought it, I began to read it, began to read through the exercises. And I began to get clear on what my thing is, which I already kind of know. Point number 3, everybody in here has an idea of what their thing is. Now, it's possible we've been ignoring that so long that we kind of forgot, but we know what we are good at. Am I right? Am I right? We know what we're doing, and when we're doing that thing, we lose track of time. We know, right? So, I get the book, I work through the exercises, I become clear, get more clear on what I feel to be my passions. And so, after I worked through the exercises, I began to develop some plans. And what was really interesting is that what was on my paper in terms of my passions, Marty, had nothing to do with medical sales. So it presented a new dilemma. How do I reinvent myself mid-career to go and do something totally different? Because we know when employers are looking for people, what are they looking for? Experience, right. They're looking at your resume. They want to see how many years you've done what you've done. They want to see how long you were in that particular position. They want to, right? And so the question for the group that I was wrestling with, and some of you may be, is how do I reinvent myself at whatever stage of my career I'm at, considering the fact that my resume doesn't support what I want to do? Is anybody wrestling with that dilemma today? Anybody? Oh my, great. So I was wrestling with that dilemma. After I identified what I wanted to do, there was such a gap between what I had been doing and what I wanted to do that I didn't really understand, Deborah, how I was going to get from medical sales into speaking and training. That was the #1 thing on my list. I knew I enjoyed it. I had done it sporadically in the past, and people would tell me, you're good at that. And I started paying attention to it. But I didn't know how I was going to bridge the gap. So I read the book, went out and got some certifications on this subject, and became my first student in terms of this passion discovery process. And so I created a laboratory for myself, and that laboratory was called My Life. I had conversations with my wife because things were very, very different in our life now. Because within like 30 to 45 days of me getting let go, my wife had already got her project ended as well. She's an engineer. 3 years, construction projects generally end, so she had ended like 30 days before me. 30 days later, I'm let go. So we went from doing dandy, to wondering how we were going to make ends meet. So, point number 4. There will be some fear involved in the transition, in the midst of the transition. There will be some fear. Some people are probably experiencing fear right now. So, my point for sharing these is to really just